Do you have a tow truck like this, or any other piece of equipment, and the bushings and pins are sloppy on it? I'm going to teach you the very best way to replace those pins and bushings. This is the only way, the best way, there's no better way. Once you have the part off the machine, the first step is to remove the bushing itself. I'm doing this here on an old school Toyota CNC machine. This is the best way, is just to slowly bore it out, taking a thousandth at a time. Each time it makes a pass, I adjust the boring head, taking out another thousandth, until it's so thin that it just pops right out. A super rigid setup is extremely important. After removing the old bushing, now it's time to make the new bushing. I use my Lodge and Shipley lathe to machine a piece of 4140 pre-hard. I start off with drilling a small hole, and then I slowly go up inside size of drill bits. It's extremely important to run the bit extremely slow, about 50 RPM. Afterwards, I face the surface and bevel the edges. I machine the slug to be about a 2,000th press fit. After pushing it in, I weld it up. I try to run the welder as hot as possible for maximum penetration. As you can see, the welds are very big and strong. I start off here with this 2-inch boring head. It allows me clearance to bore the head out. As you can see, this is my setup here. A lot of C-clamps, but it's solid. I start off by bringing the machine from zero return to memory. Then I go to my program. I can load my program, hit cycle start, and then here it is starting up. It slowly creeps in. This was the first pass, and I was just cutting air here. This is me showing how to zero return the machine. First you set it to zero return, and then you select your axis, and then you hold down the button. This basically homes the machine out. Most modern machines can do this by themselves. As you can see, it counts down to 0, passes a little bit, and then goes back to 0. This is showing how to change a tool. First things first, you gotta switch it to MIDI, and then input M6 end of block, and then M5 end of block. Insert, cycle start. I'm switching over to the bigger boring head now because I ran out of size with the small one. This is me trying to show how I set the tool height. First, I took a known reference off the pallet to machine 0. I have this block, it's exactly 2 inches. I use the handle to jog the machine out until it just barely slips in. As you can see right there, it just barely slips in. Then I sneak up on it as tight as I can. Here I go to position on the machine. You can see that the Z-axis is negative 15.1510. Here I go to offset on the machine, and then you can then see the tool offset. I scroll down now to select tool number 3. I subtracted the 15 from 20, which is my known reference. 7.6533. Input. There we have it. Now the machine knows how long the new boring bar is. I go to edit, program. Now I'm going to edit the program so the machine knows to use tool 3 and not tool 2. H2. Instead of T1 and T2 and T3, it's actually H. I'm not sure why it's like this, why they call it the tools H, but it is what it is. Here's a result of the fresh cut with the new boring head. Here I am using a telescopic gauge to measure the inner diameter of the bore. These are a little tricky to get the hang of, but once you get the hang of using them, they're pretty easy. Basically, you lock it and then you pull it out and kind of slip it out, as you can see here. Here I am using a micrometer to measure the telescopic gauge. This is the best way to measure the inner diameter of a bore, much more accurate than a pair of calipers. Afterwards, I use the micrometer to measure the outer diameter of the bushing. I subtract the two to get an idea of where I need to land. 2 or 3 thousandth is a nice press fit. Here I am showing how to use the boring head. You have an Allen screw on the side to lock it, and then the screw up top is how you adjust it. As you can see, I moved it 5 thousandth. This will get me very close. Don't forget to lock it when you're done. This is my final cleanup pass. I took about a 5 thousandth cut. Crossed my fingers I didn't make any mistakes and that it would fit. Man, that bore is pretty. Perfectly smooth. Oh yeah. Little tiny chips. Here I am editing the program. I added an extra 5 thousandth onto the boring head, and I'm editing it so that it will cut 0.15 off the start of the bore. The purpose of this is to assist in pushing in the bushing and making sure that it goes inside straight. Here I am running the program. As you can see, it comes in and then just kisses the bore to leave this small chamfer to assist inside pushing in the bronze bushing. Here's my setup for pushing into the bronze bushing. A collar that fits perfectly into the bronze bushing with a screw. Make sure to use plenty of lube. Oops, wrong wrench. As you can see, it pulls the bushing right in. Much easier than fumbling around with a hydraulic press, and you can do it while it's still on the machine. Oh yeah. I think time for a beer. Haha.